Good morning. As a preliminary matter, I am Louise Russell, Chair of the Council on Aging. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. When I call your name, members of the board, please respond in the affirmative. Shashi Menon.
Present.
Barbara DiPaolo.
I am present.
Cliff Gerber. No. Norma Giamantaro. I think she's going to be late. Zoya Maida. Zoya. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Okay. And Virginia's not going to be with us. The staff that's in attendance. Holly Luke.
Present.
Christine Moriarty.
Present.
Cynthia Willis.
Present.
Donna Messier.
Present.
And Pat Babin, we're not sure. She's not here. Okay. And Mark Serra is here from Media Connection, who's filming this. Thank you. The open meeting of the Council on Aging Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirements of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the COA board is convening by Meet Google, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join in. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer unless asked by the chairperson or the staff person. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each board member or staff member who has the lead role for this particular item on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members first and then to staff members, inviting each by name to provide any comment or questions. I will then call upon the members to offer a motion and then for a second. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Remember that unless a document is being shared, your camera feed is triggered by your speaking or background noise. To mute and unmute your telephone, dial *6. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken at this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Okay. Hi, Cliff. Welcome. Okay. The first thing on the agenda is the minutes. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I pass a motion to accept the minutes.
That is Zoya.
Yes.
I second
Okay.
it. I second it, Barb.
Barbara? Barbara seconds it. Are there any questions? Any comments?
It was nice and
Corrections?
it was nice and concise.
I'm sorry?
It was very nice and concise.
Yes, it is nice. I had just a couple. Virginia was here for part of the meeting. So it has her listed not as in attendance. So that should be corrected. And under number 8, I think it should be revision instead of reversion. I'm not sure. Those are the only corrections I had, suggestions. Cliff? I can't hear you, Cliff. Unmute.
Cliff,
Unmute.
yeah.
There we are.
Yeah.
Forgot to turn on my microphone.
Yeah.
I said the copy that I have in front of me of the minutes has those changes that you've mentioned on it. I don't know if there are 2 versions out there, but
Yes, excuse me, through the board, through Louise. Yes, I made all those changes and sent it out again.
yeah.
Oh, okay, then I must have the old copy. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other suggestions, questions? Seeing none, we will vote to accept the minutes. Shashi?
You're muted.
Remember to unmute your microphone. Shashi?
Looks as though he just left the meeting, so I think Barbara, Zoya, and Cliff, if they can do that until Shashi comes back.
I pass a
Okay.
motion.
Barbara?
Yes, Barbara says yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
Zoya?
Yes.
And Shashi is not with us. I think we have enough to approve. The minutes have been approved. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the financial reports. Christine, are you going to start with the?
Yes, so
Christine Moriarty, please. Thank you.
attached to, or some of the attachments that Holly had sent out are for the budget reports. I will start with the colored one. So there's a blue chart and an orange chart. The blue is for the general fund and the formula grant. We wanted to show that we were able to spend the formula grant down to 0. So woohoo for us.
When were these sent out?
These were sent out on Saturday.
I didn't get them.
We all have it. I mean, I have it.
Did you get them?
Yes.
Louise, I sent those out Saturday morning. I believe there were 7 attachments.
This is Barbara, and I did get them.
Good. Did everybody else get them?
Yes, I did.
I must have missed them someplace. I'm sorry. I only had 4, I think, attachments. Okay, I'll check later.
I'm
Okay,
sending.
I'm sorry, Christine. Go ahead.
I'm sending them to you right now in an email.
Well, I can't go back at it because I don't know how to do that on the computer, to do 2 things at once.
Okay.
I'll check them later. I
If-
just
yeah.
have some questions, but go ahead.
If you have any questions later, Louise, feel free to reach out. So I just wanted to show the last expenses we had for fiscal year 20. So the year-end balance for the general fund has gone back to the town as part of the agreement with the town. The formula grant was spent down to 0. We were able to buy some new furniture for the senior center that we're really excited about. We got some new couches, some benches, as well as some new desks for the staff. And so if anyone has questions about those, I want to try to keep this kind of brief. We got a little off track with the last meeting. So does anybody have questions about the expenses on the blue charts?
Seeing none?
Okay.
Okay, Christine, thank you.
So on the second page of that report, our orange charts, they show the current balances of the gift account and the revolving account. So I just want to point out, I did amend the way the gift account expenses are shown so that the memory cafe is labeled as a memory cafe expense. We were able to move, there was a expense that was mistakenly charged to the wrong account. I moved that from the van account to the gift account. So that has been taken care of. And I do want to point out there is a pending line item on the revolving account. It's the very last row in red. And that is for the clear shield for the van. So that money has been set aside for the van, that it's just the expense has not been paid yet. So that's just a line item so you can see the expense for the shield for, I believe that was COA 19.
Christine, since Louise doesn't have the papers in front of her, can you just tell her what the current balances are for each account, please?
Sure. So right now we, the gift account, we have $45,424.62. In the revolving account, we have $18,929.33.
I got that sheet. I got the total sheet. I just didn't get the backup. So
Okay.
I'll check later. Yeah, that was my question with the gift account, where the because in June we had $45,030. So there's 400 about extra dollars. Where did that income come from?
So we did get a donation to reimburse for the phones for the vans. So that was $839.92.
Okay, is that listed in the sheet that you have that
Yes.
I don't have?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's what I thought it probably would be. Good, that's why I was concerned about that. Did you total up, did you get a chance to total up the Memory Cafe expenditures for the year,
For the entire year,
from the fiscal year?
I don't have those, but I can certainly get those for you.
Because it wasn't listed on the agenda. It was, sorry, it was left off, but we need to renew the monies that we had voted to support the Memory Cafe. We have voted last year $4,000 from the gift fund to support the Memory Cafe. The fiscal year, we have the new fiscal year starting. Not officially yet because nobody has finalized their budgets, but we will go by still the same July 1st. I want to know how you feel about it. Without serving the meals and doing things, the cost is probably much less than it was last year. And I am assuming that most of this year we will be doing the same thing virtually twice a month. So does anybody have any feelings about how we do this? Do we go ahead and do the 4,000 or do we do 2,000 or whatever? What are your feelings?
If I may, or actually, Cliff, go ahead. You might know better.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that Mary's just been a little discouraged because doing the Memory Cafe online is not reaching an awful lot of people. It's and keeping the interest and engagement of those who are memory impaired is very difficult unless it's a sing-along. Then they're okay, but otherwise they kind of tend to wander away, and it's the caregiver that's there. So I don't know how to factor that in. There's probably no better way, more effective way of reaching people under the current circumstances. Yeah.
Yes, Holly.
So, Cliff, if I may just touch on something really, really quick, is one of the things that has been working really well is using the media communications, the town cable channels. So perhaps some of the things that Mary does can be pre-recorded and then shared. Mark Serra has been fantastic about sharing things on the television. So perhaps Mary can somehow engage with the person, because I know she's been doing music. Christine actually joined in on a harp presentation the other day. But I'm wondering if these things could possibly be pre-recorded instead of online, instead of going through, the Google Hangouts, because so few people have that. And that way I could put into the newsletter each day or each month, and we could also put it online, and we could also spread the word, letting people know that if they want to engage in the Memory Cafe, we can do that. They can do that on their television through the cable channels because everybody gets those.
That's an interesting idea. I certainly will bring that up to her, and
Okay.
it sounds like a good idea to me. And then people can kind of do it when they have an opportunity rather than scheduled.
Yeah, and the way I saw it is that Mark shared something with me this past week, and it seems as though either things are at least twice a week or some things are every day. And he shared the times that those all happen. So if I have those in the newsletter, and we can specifically call people too, that might have joined the Memory Cafe to let them know, because if they're not getting the newsletter and they can't get online, we can certainly make personal phone calls and tell people to tune in to channel X, Y, and Z at so-and-so time and to join in that way.
Yeah. Excellent thought.
That sounds like a real good idea.
Yes.
I like that because I've been tuning in on the other, and realized that not too many people were joining in, and they were good programs, excellent. But that's back to where we were with the money. What do we want to do? Anybody have an idea? Holly?
I think that if we can hold this off until August, I think we'd benefit from talking to Mary herself to see if she knows what expenses perhaps are in the future, at least for 6 months. And maybe we could do 6 months at a time instead of for the whole annual year. That way we're not cutting them short should we get back into the center. And that way we're not, giving away money that won't be used and then trying to keep track of it. So it would be my suggestion to hold off until August, until we can speak with her and kind of format some kind of a plan, even if it's quarterly.
How does that sound to the board?
I agree on that. Zoya.
This is Barbara, I agree.
Yeah, I think that makes good sense.
Okay, Shashi?
Shashi is on mute.
Shashi, how do you feel?
Yeah. At the bottom of your screen, Shashi, you should pop up a little menu, and there's a microphone that's X'd out. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Can you unmute?
Sashi, bring your cursor to the bottom of the screen and then you'll see a microphone and you can unmute.
Okay,
Nine left.
yeah, let's continue. Christine,
Okay, Zoya?
I agree. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, good. Okay, then we will do that. Then we will continue this too and put it on the August agenda and go ahead with that. Is there anything else for the gift fund? I know we had talked, Christine, about the 4 areas that we had, the 4 divisions of the gift fund. Is there any way that we are controlling that or not?
So we haven't had many expenses for the gift fund aside from the Memory Cafe paying the people who present or run the meeting. So really from the end of June, for the month of June, we only had a few expenses. There was 4 that totaled for about, about $350.
And then we had how many donations?
Just the one.
Just the one. Okay. Remember we had divided the gift fund. We did this a couple years ago, I guess, into in memoriam, small home repair. My mind's. What was the other one? General. Designated donations. Those are the 4. And it helped us to keep track. And then when we wanted an expenditure, we went to that particular area and expended the money from there rather than just keeping it in a lump sum. So if we could kind of get back to something like that, it would be, especially the in memoriam ones and the things that probably should be used for something special rather than just, paper clips or pencils or something, So I think, if we could get back, if that's not too much trouble, Christine.
So office expenses, I just want to be clear, don't come from the gift fund. This is just for the money that comes to the gift fund. We have designated these 4 areas of just the gift fund money. So the 45,000, it's divided into different sections. And I don't know if those records are any place at all. I know before you came in, I don't know if that was ever, translated, but even if you start now, it would be even, better to look at it that way. Sure, I will certainly implement that for fiscal year 21, and I will break it down like that.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Are there any more comments about the gift fund?
This is Barbara. I have those 4 categories, Christine. I'll send them to you.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else for the gift fund? Okay.
So
go ahead, Christine.
if you look at the fiscal year 21 budget, it just has the totals for all of the accounts. Obviously, because the formula grant, we don't know what our total will be for fiscal year 21, but for 20, we received just over $76,000. So that gives us an idea of what to anticipate. Our budget for fiscal year 21 has been broken down. We're going more on a monthly basis. So if you look at the attachment that says fiscal year 21 August budget, it has the account descriptions and the account amount allocated for each item. We're working off of a $1,945 budget for the month of August. And so what we did was we looked at past expenses, the bills that we've received so far to give us an idea of where we have to spend for this month.
Okay, yeah.
Does
Any
anybody?
comments? Any comments, suggestions, questions? All right, thank you, Christine.
Christine,
Holly has a question.
Hold on, I just want to let everybody be aware that I will be expected to give a 1/12 budget each month until Town Manager Kevin Mizikar tells us that we no longer have to do that. My guess is that's how it's going forward. And of course, this is just from the general fund. This isn't any of our accounts. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
I had just one question about the paper. I'm looking at the totals, the DOT grant. Is that for the past fiscal year or for the new fiscal year? Holly?
So that was the grant that was out from, I believe Sharon Yeager did that in 2019. And that is, so that's what's left in the DOT grant. And I'm working with them very closely right now to figure out what exactly can be spent from that account, because they are making exceptions with everything that's going on right now. So they're a little bit more lenient, if you will, about what can come out of there, because clearly we want to spend that money and save our own because it's grant money. It won't go away, so that's good. But I'm still in the process of working with DOT to get that done, because evidently we're not the only town that's having those questions.
Is that the grant that goes along with the revolving account?
That is separate.
They're separate accounts, but it's the same expenditures.
Well, they're similar, but they're not the same. So the revolving account, that money comes from the housing authority, and the money that we get from fairs and things like that.
Yeah, I know that we used to combine those and now they separated them, and that's the same thing. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Were there any other questions? Christine, you have anything else?
on the 21 August budget, can I go on to that?
Sure. What's your question, Zoya?
Services not classified, what does that mean?
So I'll answer that. So services not classified would fall under if we were putting something into the center. So if we were having like the software for the Northeast come in and doing things like that. So those are the services not classified.
Okay.
What I do plan on doing is I need to get permission from Kevin and Mary before I change some of these on the FY21 August budget. I want to change some of those lines because they don't really make sense. But I have to get permission to work with Mary before I change any of those. So I do know that those are confusing, but those were done prior to my arrival here.
Okay. Mary, you mean Mary Thompson, the treasurer? Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, anything else for the financial report? Yes, good, Cliff.
Just a brief comment. I want to thank Christine. This is all so clear and nice. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize for not finding it, and I'll go look for it afterward and enjoy reading it, Cliff. Yes. Okay, anything else? Okay, let's move on to the director's report.
Okay, if I may, I'd like to just jump ahead so Cynthia can do kind of say anything, any updates, that way she can get back to what she's doing, and same with Donna. So if Cynthia, we'll start with you. If you have anything you want to input, so that way we're not keeping you. Maybe you can touch base. Cynthia, you're on mute. Maybe you can touch base on the van drivers, the PPE, and how we're doing with the van drivers and what's happening.
as everybody know, we started. Am I echoing? Okay, to me it sounds like I'm echoing. Anyway, we started the van service on June 15th, and things are moving along. The PPE, the drivers are using the supplies. Everybody's adjusting, and that's about it.
So I'll just be a little bit more informed. We have had a couple of drivers not return back to work because they they have some fears about, coming in and being kind of frontline. Addressing those with more PPE, we continue to keep the communication lines open. Cynthia and I did conduct, I think it was 6 interviews, and out of 6, we chose 2. And when we offered the position to those 2, they actually decided that they weren't interested. So that took a lot of our time. So Cynthia and I had a chance to get back into it right now. We're lucky because our transportation is a little slow, but it's picking up. But we do plan on hiring 2 more part-time drivers.
Oh, good, good.
When the PPE that came in, the personal protective equipment that came in, 90-day supply from the WRTA, and the town of Shrewsbury has also given us the more equipment, and each van has its own bucket of equipment on each van. And they clean and sanitize the van after each rider, and on Friday afternoons, the town comes in and does a giant professional disinfectant of the van. So that's where we are right now.
I have a question. This is Zoya.
Sure.
Yes.
Holly,
Yes.
this is going to be a continuous expense, the PPE and the sanitation.
So it actually is not an expense to us. Any supplies that are given to us comes out of the fire department in Shrewsbury, and they are taking that money from the CARES Act, or they have actually, I think the fire department has a different fund allocated for COVID. So all of that has come through there. The only thing that we have purchased is paper towel rolls, which we have committed to accounting already to be reimbursed for those towels. Everything from the WRTA are expense from the WRTA. So to date, we haven't spent any of our own money that hasn't been reimbursed.
Okay, great.
Good.
Donna, do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
So Cynthia, I see you on the screen twice, so I think you're uploaded somehow twice. But I want to thank Cynthia, and I want to thank Donna and Pat, who's not able to be with us today, for all of their continued hard work. I know it's a little difficult now that we're in the office and we all work separate hours, but Christine, but I know she wasn't going anywhere. I was going to thank her again later. The staff just continues to do a fantastic job under measures. So again, I just wanted to say thank you to them.
Good. Thank you both very well. All of you. All of you.
I second and third that.
So Donna and Cynthia, if you want to excuse yourself now, you certainly may.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cynthia, don't forget, I think you're on by your phone too.
All right. I'll get out of here.
Okay, so I'm going to continue doing my director's report. So about a month ago, I was contacted by the WRTA, and it seems as though they had acquired some council on aging vans because another town, I believe it was the town of Lynn, no longer needed their vans. So what they did was they sent an email and they sent it to various council on aging and senior centers and asked if anybody would be interested in any of these vans. So I believe there were 5 vans to choose to be given out. We couldn't choose which ones we wanted. They were kind of appointing them to us. And the one that they appointed to us is exactly like our COA 19 van, and the matching money was for $4,489.60. And that money was given to us by our donation. So I actually have the check in hand at the senior center. What we're waiting on now is for the titles to actually be transferred back over to the WRTA. And then what is going to happen, and I'm hoping it's going to happen, I was hoping it was going to happen this week, but it looks like it'll be next week, is that our Shrewsbury fleet manager will go to Lynn with all of the contracts and the check. They will do an inspection on that van. By the way, it has 52,000 miles on it. They'll do an inspection on that van, and assuming the fleet manager approves it, he'll actually do the transfer for the titles, and that van will come to Shrewsbury. And what I will do is, I've already talked with the WRTA and the DOT because I already applied for the grant. If we get that van, they'll just take our names off of the grant, this is great news because, so this van we had estimated at, and what it came back to be about $32,000, and we can get it within a month, hopefully, or even sooner. Whereas the grant money, we wouldn't have received that van until the end of, or the beginning of the summer of 2021. So we're very excited about the possibility of acquiring a van sooner rather than later, because we have some ideas about perhaps doing some meal deliveries and helping out St. Anne's Food Pantry for those people that aren't able to get out and get food themselves. So those are all things that are still in the works. But I just wanted to give you a heads up on the van. Does anybody have any questions about that?
That's wonderful. Anybody?
So our fleet is going to be 5?
No, our fleet will actually be 4. Right now it's 3. COA 98 is not running at all. It stopped running in February prior to COVID. So, and at the moment, we haven't been using all 3 vans because transportation has been pretty slow at this point. I think that some people still aren't getting out. They are moving, but they're just moving at a slower rate, which is what we expected. So we will actually still have a fleet of 4, assuming we get the van.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good news. That's terrific.
Great job.
Yes.
So
Any more comments? Any more comments for Holly?
This is Barbara, and I'm just taking notes. So what are we not going to be doing that we were going to be doing?
So we're nothing's changing as of yet until we get the fleet manager to inspect the COA vehicle in Lynn. If we get it, nothing changes. If we don't get it, we're going to keep my grant submission and hopefully get approved.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. May I move on? All set? We are still scheduling some virtual programmings. Just as Louise mentioned, we have the Memory Cafe going on. We have a couple of mindful meditations. We have some exercise classes that Mark Serra has put up and will continue to put up. That happens a couple of times a week. I am including that into the August newsletter so people have specific dates and times of where to find those exercise classes. Any questions on any virtual programming?
I think it's a wonderful idea to have. What channel is that on?
I don't have that exactly with me right now, but I can certainly send you that information. And again, it will be in the August newsletter.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. While I'm on the August newsletter, what I wanted to let people know is Christine and I have been working, trying to figure out how to best mail out the newsletter. When we brought the new newsletter over to the USPS bulk in Shrewsbury, they decided that our newsletter wasn't a newsletter so much anymore, but it was more of a periodical. So without going into too much detail, because we were able to fix everything, what is going to happen is I talked with the Friends of group, And what they're going to do is they're going to change their name on the USPS permit to go from Friends of to Council on Aging. We had to do this per USPS request. So I already spoke with Jerry. She actually emailed me this morning. She put that in the mail, the form to change the name under the permit. And the reason why we were doing that is because they already had a slush fund, if you will, in their account at the USPS. So we will use that until it gets down to zero, and then we will somehow deposit money in that again. So what we're going to do is, so last month for June's mailing of July's newsletter, it cost us about $57. So we took that right out of the slush fund that already existed. I gave Jerry the receipt, and then Jerry is going to send us an invoice where we will reimburse them. So essentially they're going to get all that money back that was originally held up in USPS. That was the easiest way we could come up, so I didn't have to use my personal account. Does anybody have any questions on that?
I have a question. I'm wondering, is it legal, quote unquote, to use the COA in that way? I don't know what the state regulations are as far as using the Council on Aging, because we are a state town organization. I don't know that we can use our name in that way. I don't know, have you checked with that with Kevin or Kristen or?
Well, when I spoke with USPS, that's what they suggested for us because of the town. What might end up happening is we might end up having to pay a little bit more because we're not the 501c3. So we might have to pay a little bit more for the mailings. We're still trying to work out the kinks because nothing, according to the representative at USPS, nothing should have changed. So I'm not sure, there's miscommunication somewhere between the representatives that tell USPS what to do and what USPS is telling us what to do. So we're still working out those kinks. Nothing has been mailed yet. Again, I'm just following what USPS is telling us to do, because otherwise we would have to go for our own permit. It would cost about $280 just to apply. And then it would be $240 a year for the annual fees.
No. I'm just concerned about the legality of it. And I would feel much more comfortable if you would ask Kristen or Kevin, someone, to get an official, I guess approval is the right word. I don't know. Does anybody have any comments or thoughts about it? I don't know how the COA can be used. That's what I'm saying, how the you know.
I think the way it would look is that COA is just doing the mailing. But I just took a note, and I will ask Kristen that information, and I will get back to you so we can, not have to worry about that going forward.
I don't think the man at the post office has any idea about anything like that. In fact, he doesn't know about the post office and what it's doing, because the woman told you something totally different. I would go by what she says and not by what he says, but that's a whole nother issue. I would feel much more comfortable if we got approval, because I'm just concerned.
And I agree.
Some kind of problem.
And I agree. And I did send the representative email. The problem is she's out of Nevada. So we're still trying to make it work. My biggest goal is just to make sure the newsletters get out on time. So even if I have to use my own money for the meantime to get it out, I will. But there still needs to be some kind of paperwork in order to send those out. So I am working on that, and hopefully I have something more positive in August to come back to you when we meet again. So I'm just going to keep moving on.
I would like to see it.
Pardon?
Yeah.
You would like?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
moving on, Christine mentioned before that to get the formula grant money down, we did make some purchases. We did purchase some new furniture for the COA. It's not yet in yet. It will be in at the end of the month. So I'm excited to let everybody, see that when it gets in. That will leave us with the furniture that is inside the COA, which we will have to find a new home for. So if anybody is interested, please give me a ring and let me know. But I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Elder Services of Worcester gave us 40 frozen boxes of chicken nuggets and mozzarella sticks about a month and a half ago. We gave roughly 25 to 30 over to the food pantry to give out, for their drive-through, and we were able to disperse the rest of them through calls at the center and through Meals on Wheels. And some of our volunteer staff that come in that work for the Meals on Wheels, some of them took boxes themselves. So I did do another reorder of 50 boxes that hopefully we'll get by the end of the month or the beginning of August. And those will consist of the chicken nuggets, mozzarella sticks, hot dogs, and chicken patties. So we will be reaching out to some of our at-home seniors to see if anybody will want one of those. So I'm excited that those are coming in. One of the things that I did want to ask from the board is, because these boxes have been distributed and they could very likely be continued to give to us, I wanted to know if out of the gift fund, if I would be able to purchase an additional freezer to perhaps leave in the side room of A and B to be able to store those foods and give out as needed. And the reason why I need a freezer, when you refrigerate them, obviously the food doesn't keep for as long. And so there are two things. We could either buy our own, or I can look into perhaps leasing one or renting one on a month-to-month basis, which would probably be a better idea. But I just thought it'd be nice to have an extra freezer storage in case we continue to keep getting food given to us like that.
Any comments from anybody?
Zoya, I have a comment. This is Zoya. If you're looking for to put in a freezer, we have to find out where we would like to put it and the electrical connections for it.
So what I was thinking of looking for is not like the one that we presently have in the kitchen, but something more along the lines of perhaps like an ice cream freezer that's on the floor. And certainly before I went to rent it, talk to public facilities to make sure that we could fit that into and exactly what Zoya just said, and make sure that we can have that much electricity going through one appliance. But it is something that I would like to get into, because ESWA did say that this could happen a few more times. And I won't always be able to take that much if I don't have a place to store it.
This is Barbara.
I think it's a good idea. Barbara?
This is Barbara. I think it's a great idea. We don't want to lose food if they're going to give us free food, and that sounds like good quality free food. So, I mean, sure, it's actually a no-brainer if we don't want to lose that food. How much I don't know how much it costs to lease, but that sounds good to me.
Zoya again. Holly.
Yeah, you don't need a vote for that, I don't think. No.
Holly, how are we using the freezer and the refrigerator in the kitchen now?
So the freezer and the refrigerator have been completely emptied of anything that is not being used on a daily basis. Beth from Meals on Wheels and Evelyn, who has been kind of taking her spot from ESWA, have cleaned out the entire thing. But again, our freezer section is much smaller than our refrigerator section. Right. So once you put something in the refrigerator and it starts to thaw, you don't want to keep going back and forth to moving it all. So we did try to do that a month and a half ago when the other food came in, and we had more food in the refrigerated area, which is why I called the food pantry to come, and we made arrangements and we put that all in their car and they took it away, and they were very thankful. So even if that's what I give away half again. But so this leads me to the next thing I wanted to just mention, and I'm not getting off, but so in the past month or two, myself, Christine, Zoya, and Barbara have been meeting to try to talk about and look forward to the fall, and trying to figure out ways to connect with the community and get our names out and then assist them with any needs that they want or need. So we've been meeting like that, and I did just apply for a grant, and I had to name the project that we were doing. So I simply named it Connect and Assist. And Barbara and Zoya, I hope you approve of that name. I just thought it was simple, point, and it is exactly what we're trying to do, and it's part of our strategic plan too, is to connect with the community by brochures, bulletin ads, social media, everything that we can think of, and then assist the people, community, the seniors 60 plus, with any resources that they need. Do they need food? Do they need medical equipment? Do they need any kind of application assistance? So I think with having that food and being able to rent the freezer, we will be able to assist them a little bit more. And now it's just about the connection. And again, I did apply for this grant, and I requested in the grant $18,000. And what that $18,000 could help us do is could help us mail out the newsletter to every senior in town twice a year. And I got those figures from the USPS in Shrewsbury, and to also put together a brochure for that kind of details what the COA offers. And one of the things that I found while I was doing some research that I really, really liked was, outside of doing a brochure, there was when you go to a hotel room and you put "Do Not Disturb" on your doors. So this brochure actually be the front and back of something like that, so the seniors could actually leave it on a doorknob instead of having it fall within a bunch of papers. So it would say, what the COA offers on one side, and then perhaps different resources on the back side. So I went and I had that appraised, or not appraised, but I got a quote on what it would be to make those, and all together with everything was just under $18,000. So that was the grant request that I put in. And again, that would be part of the Connect and Assist to the seniors and at the community. Does anybody have any questions about that?
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Anybody? Any comments? No?
So hopefully we get approved for that grant. I will find out in December.
Okay, good. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. On the food. We just started on July 7th with grab and go meals over at the center. So that is in coordination with the Meals on Wheels. It was part of it's part of the congregate, everybody that was coming for congregate before. That the Elder Services has contacted to see if they're interested in coming and getting meals. So what happens is people call the center. Christine made us some nice slips. We write their information down, and includes their date of birth, their address, and their name, and what days that they're interested in getting the meals. We put them in a basket outside of the center for Evelyn and Beth to grab. And then the people come to the center, they drive to the back of the center, they park their cars, they must wear a mask coming out. We've put signs on the back side of the center, and they knock on the door, they tell whoever is opening the door their name. They come from 11:15 to 11:45, that's when the meals will be handed out. They grab their meals, it's a $2.50 suggested donation, and then they grab their meals and go home. One of the things that I would like to ask the board is, we do have some money in our gift fund that we have talked about, and I was just trying to think of how we can help some people in the community that might be going through a rough time. And I was just thinking, what would you all think about person 60 plus that was requesting a grab and go, that the senior center or the Council on Aging kind of pays for those meals, perhaps for the month of August or the month of September. So whoever is requesting meals, the COA pays the $2.50 for a particular month, just so we can see. My goal of that is to see how many people are actually reaching out to and wanting a meal. And
I'm sorry, Holly, your microphone, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Is it my computer or is anybody else?
No, we can hear her well.
Must be my computer then. Okay, I'm sorry. You wanted to fund, how many people do you think it would entail?
So this is what I'm not sure. The purpose of doing this was just to see how many people and outside people that are really needing the food, but perhaps don't even have the $2.50 to spare. And perhaps we could even get a driver, one of our drivers, to deliver meals. So my goal would be to do something like this for September, so I can kind of iron out a little bit more details. But I'm thinking, even if we put a certain cap on it, maybe you say at $500, you know, we're going to stop right there, because we don't know if we'll get inundated. We don't know if we will get just a few. But I would like to see how many people take advantage of that, because then it will give us a little bit more of an idea of what we should be looking forward to going forward, especially for the rest of the fall and the winter. But I just thought, you know, we're not running any programs. We don't really have any expenses, program expenses. And I just thought that this would be a nice thing for us to reach out and offer those 60 plus.
Holly, if I
Okay,
may,
comments,
if I may,
motions?
this is Zoya.
Zoya.
Holly, I think it's a good idea, but Meals on Wheels used to do that. There are a lot of people who could not afford to pay. They did not have to pay. Meal was given to them anyway, when they used to come in for lunch. So that was
Yes.
part of the...
So the thing with Meals on Wheels is when you call and you get Meals on Wheels, there's an application process for it. And there's a lot of information, personal information, and I think for some people, they just don't want to give it out. Whereas when you're coming to get a grab and go meal, you're just giving us your name, your address, and your date of birth. There isn't how much money what's your income? There isn't anything like that. So it's basically, we're kind of taking an order just almost the same as you would when you're ordering at a pizza parlor. So there's a little less personal, again, information shared with everybody through the grab and go. My hope is through this is if perhaps people enjoy those meals, they'll want them more and perhaps then go on Meals on Wheels and do that. I'm just trying, again, just like Zoya and Barbara and Christine and I have been trying to figure out how to connect with these people for the fall. I just think doing something small like this might be able to help and maybe make people feel a little bit more comfortable.
Agree.
This is Barbara.
Yes.
Barbara, I think it's a great idea, and it'll definitely give us more data for people that would really probably participate if they didn't think they had to pay. But the other thing is, if people wanted to pay, could they pay?
Absolutely. I took a phone call last week, and somebody wanted to tip, and I told her, please, you don't have to tip. That would be fine. But of course, if somebody wanted to pay, they absolutely could. I'm just thinking that this would be just a great thing for us to offer. While we're on that, well, actually, let's vote for, if you might want to all do that.
Could I have a motion?
I motion that we take gift fund money to pay for the month of September grab and go meals. Is that what I should be saying?
Yes.
I second that.
Okay, Cliff seconds. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Oh, I got to call your names. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here looking at you. Shashi?
Shashi's mute.
Yes.
You just raise your hand.
Barbara?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
Zoya,
Yes.
and me, yes. Unanimous.
Fantastic.
$500.
Fantastic. The other thing I wanted to touch upon while we're talking about the gift fund is many phone calls that I receive, my staff receives, a lot of people, even myself, are finding that their brain isn't working, isn't being challenged as it was prior to COVID, because a lot of people are staying in their homes. They're not getting out. They're not able to do things like that. One of the things that I am offering, just so people know, for the August newsletter, that if people want any of the puzzles that we have in the senior center, I'd be happy to go and drive them a couple of puzzles just to keep active. The other thing I wanted to know is if I could have permission, I'm not even sure I have to ask permission, but I'm going to purchase, about 100 crossword puzzle books from Amazon. So when we are delivering Meals on Wheels, we can add some of those crossword puzzle books to the meals, just for people to, again, keep their brain a little active. I've got a lot of response from my July newsletter that people really enjoyed the crossword puzzle, but again, it's only one crossword puzzle. You can only do it once. So what I'd like to do is, with your permission, to purchase some crossword puzzles and to give those out to Meals on Wheels clients, and to also put it into the newsletter saying that these are available, and if anybody would like one, I'd be happy to drop one in their mailbox. Any thoughts on that? I'm thinking it would probably cost about $150. I'm not sure where I'm allowed to spend money from the gift fund, or if I'm just allowed to do something like that.
Also, Holly, if you'd put in the newsletter that anybody willing to donate.
Oh, okay.
Should donate it to the.
What was that, Zoya?
That anybody willing to donate games and crossword puzzles or books could donate it to the.
Sure. So I really like that. So I think before I go and purchase, I will say that we are seeking donations of those things. So we'll start with there and see what happens at the end of August, and see if we get any donations. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful with crossword puzzle books. I found when I was looking for some, I bought one without realizing that it was much too difficult for me. Some of them, they have such a wide variety of difficultness. And so, giving them out. So, it's a great idea.
They can return that back.
Yeah.
They can return that back and get an easier one.
Yeah, we could do word search too. Those tend to be easier than crossword puzzles, because I agree. I remember TV Guide, I couldn't even fill out 5 of them, but that's a me thing.
Yeah. People like crosswords. Yeah, just have to be careful. Yeah, so it's a good idea.
So,
I don't know if you need a vote for that. You want to wait and see if we get donations, and then.
Sure.
Or you want to go ahead and.
Yep. So I just want to try to get through this. The only other thing that I wanted to mention quickly is, well, actually there's 2. Everybody recalls when Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services was doing their assessment reports, and they were taking the surveys and things like that. So I did just get the copy of the assessment report about a week and a half ago. And what I'm planning to do is share that, and we'll put that on the agenda for the August meeting. There were some reports, pros and cons of the senior center, of the housing authority, of the library, and things like that. So what I am happy to report is, because those assessments were a long time ago, that a lot of the issues that were in the reports have since been resolved or are being resolved. But before we go into any more detail on that, I'm just letting you know that I'm planning on sharing that report with all of you, so that we can talk about it in the August agenda meeting. Just letting you know that. And the only other thing that I can think of at the top of my head before we move on is the Worcester Senior Center. I think I mentioned this. about the 20th celebration. They had done one. And so unfortunately, a lot of my time is being taken up now by the newsletter. So I haven't been able to do a lot of other things, but my next goal after I get complete August is to start working and compiling information for the 20th celebration video for the Shrewsbury Senior Center. Mark Serra has said that he will absolutely help us develop a great video. And so if anybody has time in the next month or two to compile any kind of, actually, let's say a month, but I know it's summer, so whatever you can do, any kind of information, if you can find any interviews or pictures or anything like that, and if you want to share them with Christine and I, put us both on there, and that just in the subject heading, just mark 20th celebration. So that way, when you're sending an email, we know to go back and be able to put all of the information all together. But that is something that we want to try to get out. My goal now, it would be probably the beginning of October if we're able. So if you have anything that you'd like to share, please just get it to us somehow, whether it's mail or dropping it off or email. But we would like to get that going. That's it for me.
I will tell you, Holly, do you have the scrapbooks? Did you find the scrapbooks from the senior center? And did you
Yes,
ever
I have those
find
in
the volume of pictures that said showed the whole building? They took a picture every day when the building was being built. And we were going to put that on a CD or however you do it now. That's old fashioned, I guess. And to show how the building came about. I don't know if you ever found that book yet, or that has all the pictures in it. Has a total.
We do have
but also,
quite a few albums.
The two file cabinets in the closet, in the main coat closet where the puzzles are. Those are the Friends file cabinets, and they have all the history of the senior center, going back to before it was built, and lot of information there about all letters to the editors and a lot of pictures and all kinds of things. So, but one of them is locked. So I think Sandy has the key to that. So, but that's a good resource to go in. If I could get in, I could go in and help you. I'll talk to you about that and see, because I know where most of them are.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good resource in there.
Okay, that is all I have. That is all I have right now for the director's report.
I wanted to mention just the newsletter to have, since the first one went out, have we gotten anybody coming in, calls coming in to have them mailed?
Yes, even
have many names been added to the mailing list? You're breaking up. I have a hard time. I don't know what's with this thing.
Yeah, we're having a hard time seeing you right now, Louise. But yes, so we have, since the July newsletter came out, we have received numerous requests to have them mailed both to in-town and out-of-town residents. So, and everybody seemed very, very pleased with the newsletter, and it made August that much more fun for me to create. But again, it does take up an extreme amount of my time. So I wish I could give it off to somebody else, and we've been trying to give it to a few high schools.
It's not working.
It hasn't worked out. So Louise, that's all I have to say right now. If you want to move on to new business number 6.
I can't hear you. My computer apparently has just shut down.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong.
Do you want to try to log off and come back on?
Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can't though.
Louise, would you like to go to number 6?
Oh, why don't you take over, Holly? And
Okay. So we'll go to new business.
I'll see if I can get my sound back.
We'll go to new business, the feasibility study. So I don't know if anybody joined in on the
The
last.
feasibility study.
Yes, that's what we're talking about. So everybody got another copy of the floor plan. I just want to let people know that the floor plan is just that. It's just a plan. It's not concrete. The main goal of the whole feasibility study, the main priority is the police station. And anything after the police station is kind of just another sub-plan. And hopefully the town will approve for all of the changes to get done. It does not mean that we can't discuss the plan, but I do want to let everybody know that any suggestions you make will be taken into consideration. I will share that during the whole process of the study. And again, I just want to make sure that people understand that the senior center will not have a second floor. Their main goal is to create more space for us to better utilize and have programs and activities. In the current way that the senior center is set up, it really is restricting to how many things can go on at one time. And there's constant overlap of what I have seen as similar programs. So, and when I say that, I mean same level exercise class or same level yoga classes. And clearly we know we needed more room to have either meetings or, spaces to have games and going on. I really like their idea of taking the backyard and putting it to the front yard. I think that is safer for the seniors. It makes the senior center look more lively. But again, I just want to reiterate that the main goal of the feasibility study was to get our police station up and going, and hopefully the sub of being the town hall and the senior center, hopefully those things will be accepted at the town meeting whenever that should happen. So I just don't want people to get too upset about what the floor plan is, and have kind of an open mind and let us continue to ask questions as that process goes on. There is another meeting this evening. Would anybody want me to share on how to get onto those calls this evening? Would anybody like that information?
I would.
Okay, so since Zoya has said that she would like that information, I'm just going to go ahead and share it with the board.
I would.
Okay, to get onto the meeting.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I found the
okay.
I found the words
So,
down here. I'm
again,
following the captions.
Holly,
I had a question. I missed the first part of your presentation. I'm sorry. Who made the decision that there would be no second floor?
the Public Works Department, I think.
It's more of what it would be a budget issue, a monetary issue. Like I said, the town right now is really just focused on getting that police station. And like I said, the town hall and the senior center are really subparts of the feasibility study. So I'm just relaying what I know.
Zoya here.
Yes, Zoya.
We understand that the police station comes first. I mean, that's the priority, and we know that. But
Zoya?
At this point, talking 5 to 6, 7 years down the road, which would be before anything would be center. They're not going to do any of these things right now anyhow. And that's what I was concerned about
No,
They're looking to the future. And the one that says, they're going to have 8 staff for the next 30 years. I mean, how do they know the population and that kind of thing? I was concerned. Yes.
so I just want to correct you that the feasibility study, they're predicting that construction could take place in 2022, as early as 2022. And it could even perhaps be a little bit earlier than that. So it's actually less than 3 years that the construction would begin. It could even be 2 years.
Construction on the senior center?
Just construction in general is beginning with the police station.
Because I know they're going for the police station first. They have to get the funding for the police station. And that will take a town vote for that. And that will take a year probably.
So Louise,
there are some things they left out. If you're going to a meeting, they left out, where did I put that? They left out the family bathroom.
Louise?
Yeah.
Louise, can you hear me? What I would like to do, Louise, because you are breaking up and I am doing a lot of repeating, what I would like to do is table the feasibility study until August to talk about, because it is really hard to understand you right now. And we're talking over each other and we're not able to move on with the meeting. Okay. So I'd like to move
this is not working. I need a new computer, I guess. This is not going to work. Yeah.
Okay. So can we, Christine? Do you know how to mute her?
I'll email you
bad.
My question, and I'll copy the board, and then you can answer back, and everybody will get the information, because I cannot.
Okay.
I can get what you have for the I will listen to the rest.
Okay. So just for time's sake, because I do have another meeting in a little bit, I want to move on to the Community Preservation Act, the CPA. So what they're looking for is they're looking for adoption. They want to know if the Council on Aging would vote in favor of the proposed adoption for Article 30. And so there needs to be a vote, and then this would end up going to, I believe, town meeting. So they have been very persistent, and they have put a lot of work into this, and they are looking for the Council on Aging to approve it. Is there any discussion? Now I know Louise can't really hear me, but Barbara, Zoya, Cliff, Shashi, would you be in favor to adopt the proposed adoption of the Community Preservation Act?
What was the question that Virginia had about the CPA? She had a question about the CPA?
She had a very long email about different things. This is Barbara. I don't know if this is the right time. I love the idea. It's a great idea. I'm not sure it's the right time to put people have to pay more money. I just feel like it might be the wrong time until after COVID maybe, but that's just my opinion. I just hate to see somebody who's already stretched have more money taken out of their pocket.
I guess that might be another reason why they want it, because their money that is coming into the states is reduced because of the COVID. So that's why they probably want more funding to be able to do more things.
Yeah, my understanding is that we went through this with Rotary Club too, because they were bringing this to us. what they're really looking for is an endorsement. They're not looking for us to take any action on it. They just want to present, I believe, to the town meeting a list of groups in town that think this would be a good idea. I happen to think it's a good idea. The timing, I don't know. This, this isn't a good time for anything, but this is not an immediate, even if it's adopted, this isn't going to take place tomorrow. This is kind of more a long-term thing. A lot of communities have taken advantage of this and have gotten state money returned because they were willing to up their property tax by 1% for projects in the town for community preservation. And we have failed to do that. We have really, because we haven't bought into this, we've really bypassed a lot of opportunities to bring some state money back to Shrewsbury for community preservation. So I'm in favor of it. But again, it's just an endorsement. That's all I'm looking for.
And Cliff, I appreciate that because you are completely right. I misspoke, and it is just to endorse it. So can one of the board members lead that for a vote on whether to endorse or not?
Well, I would move that we endorse it.
I second it.
Hello?
Hi, Shashi.
Yes.
Well, my position is we should stay neutral because I don't see a direct benefit to the senior population, most of whom are in their 70s and up. So, and it does involve a financial outlay. I don't think that should put that on the seniors right now. So I'd say stay neutral.
There is built into this thing an exception for people who can't afford that 1% increase. I don't know exactly how that works, but there is an out. This isn't going to price anybody out of their home.
Yes, for low-income property owners and low to moderate income senior property owners, there is an exemption.
So where are we with this?
We are at a crossroad.
Do we endorse it, or I need?
I think there's a motion on the floor, so what we need to do is take a voice vote. Yeah.
Shashi? To endorse?
I don't really care which way it goes.
Well, I think it'd be best if we choose yes or no. Cliff, you said yes?
Yes.
Zoya?
Yes.
Barbara?
No.
Shashi?
No.
Okay, I will let, Louise, can you hear me? Yes? Louise says yes, it's to endorse. Okay, I will let the Community Preservation Act, James, I believe his name is James Molina, I will let him know. There is only one more thing on the agenda, and since we are clearly having difficulty here today, and it was to vote to accept the slate for chair and vice chair. And I do have I am concerned just because Shashi keeps leaving and Louise can't speak. Louise, you're on mute. Louise, you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We will vote. The slate that we are presenting is Shashi Menon for chair, Zoya Mehta for vice chair, and Barbara DiPaolo for secretary. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, then we will vote on as presented. Shashi? Shashi?
Shashi, you're muted. Go to the bottom of your screen with your cursor and unmute.
Yeah. Barbara?
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Cliff?
Cliff says yes. And yes, I hear
Yes, okay.
Shashi.
Toya?
Yes, can I say reluctantly?
And I say yes. Unanimous. Congratulations, Shashi.
Congratulations, Shashi.
Okay, so may I request that we complete this agenda meeting just because of the difficulties that we've had. And so Barbara, thank you for taking the minutes of this meeting. You deserve a gold star after you do that. And again, it was good to see all of you. Louise, I'm going to let you complete the meeting.
I just want to thank everybody for the years. And it's been wonderful. And I look forward to just sitting back and enjoying all the rest of the meetings. So everybody take care.
And
be safe.
If I might introduce a brief motion that we thank Louise for her excellent leadership.
I second it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I agree. Great. This is Barbara. Yes.
It's been my pleasure to work with you also.
The meeting is adjourned. I don't have a gavel.
Very good. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.